Good morning, everybody. Still is morning. For another five minutes. Just getting another fun day in. Took a 34 down in Otay Mesa because yesterday and today wasn't really going to give me like some any really good hours. And for this particular trip, I like to get as far as I can on the first day, and then make the rest of the way in on the second day. So instead of getting up and moving yesterday or like early morning the day, I just waited to get the 34 in, which would reset my clock, allow me to get the hours that I need so I can get to the place that I would like to get to by the end of the day. Right now it's northbound 395. I like this drive right here. Such a scenic trip. And hopefully everything will keep looking like this all the way up to Idaho. What I mean by looking like this, as in like no snow. I don't want to get stuck on 95, you know, in some ditch or something. But not every drive can be as pleasant and scenic as this one. The other day I made a video saying, you know, like top 10 places that kind of made me go wow. So I thought I would do one of like 10 places that that I didn't really want to see but ended up seeing, because that's a part of trucking. That's a part of trucking. You know, when you get into this field, they tell you that you are going to travel, you're going to see a lot of places, but they never tell you it's always places that you want to see. Trust me, there are some places out there that suck. Again, I don't know if I'll get like actual 10. Like I said, you know, this is going to be in no particular order. You know, I don't have a ranking system. I'm just going to name off like a bunch of places. That's off the top of my head. Number one for me would have to be Detroit. I've only ever been there once. Once is more than enough for me. So what it was with Detroit, I think I was still in my first year of driving, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was still my first year of driving. And I had a 3-drop load. Two of them were in Detroit. Turned out to be the same warehouse. You know, the same company, but it was giving me like 2 addresses. They were literally across the street from each other. But I had two drops in Detroit and then one in New York. And I found myself driving up to Detroit, and I was planning on stopping at a truck stop that's on the outside of town. And if I knew then what I know now, I would have definitely done that. But my driver manager at the time, he called me up and he said, "Oh hey, the receiver has truck parking. You can go straight there." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds wonderful, right?" Yeah, what he didn't inform me was that the truck parking is on the outside of their fence, where all the crackheads can come up and gather around your vehicle. And they did. Oh yeah, it was nonstop. I mean, like each one that kept coming up was asking for change. You know, they'd all give stories and whatnot. The common consensus was that they were all looking for $10, and there was kind of two things that I assumed. One, there was either a homeless shelter in the area that charged $10 a night, or two, somebody was selling crack for 10 bucks. It was one of those two things. Okay, but you know, make a long story short, I think I got there like 5. My appointment was like 3 o'clock in the morning, or something like that. So pretty much from the time that I showed up until the appointment time, like every hour on the hour, all night long, somebody would come up and knock on the door. And the problem that I had was I couldn't ignore them, because if you do, and they think that you're asleep, they start looking at your truck to see if there's anything worth stealing. I mean, they would probably steal the broom off the back of the truck if they could. You know, but if you do answer, you got to go through the whole song and dance. The biggest problem that I had, I should say, like the biggest red flag, was that a number of those times, the guys would try to ask me if I could step out of the truck and talk to them, like actually leave the safety of the vehicle. No other place, nobody in any other place has ever done that. Okay, I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna go out there with you and not have the safety of my door. The problem that I saw halfway through the night was that I realized at some point in time I am going to have to leave that vehicle and take my paperwork to the receiving office, and I was not looking forward to that moment, because that would mean that I would have to leave the safety of the truck. I made it through that night. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I did not get a lot of sleep. And let me tell you, man, I was so happy to finally get out of there. Man, you know, once I was done, I was like, no, I am not coming back to that place. You know, I mean, I've been to all of the major cities and whatnot. I've been to every neighborhood. Everyone says is tough and all that. And Detroit is the one place where I actually felt uneasy the entire time. I mean, it was just a bad feeling. And after that event, that's when I started carrying a can of mace. One of my friends gave me the can. So that's definitely like the one place that I definitely did not really enjoy going to. I think the next one, number 2, that would be closest to Detroit, is going down to Memphis. When I say Memphis, I mean that, you know, I am talking about all 3 parts of the city, because you have Memphis, Tennessee, you have Memphis, Mississippi, you have Memphis, Arkansas. It's all the same city. It just overlaps into those 3 states. And Memphis, Arkansas is where the truck stops are. And there's another pilot down in the Mississippi portion of it. The thing about that area though is that it's all rough. Are you gonna stop, or you just gonna you're just gonna go right across, aren't you? Yeah. You know, that whole area is just really rough. And I mean, it's like one of the things that you definitely notice when you go down there is just the fact that there's just garbage everywhere. I mean, little piles of garbage just in the street, on the side. Everything's broken down. Houses are falling apart and stuff like that. One of the things that, you know, there was one time that I was down there. I was at the pilot over in Arkansas, and I decided to get the only go get dinner at the Wendy's. And you know, it was my luck that like a high school basketball team was there ordering, so there was this huge line going on. But you know, I was standing there watching them, you know, just watching the way that they were all acting. Well, one of the things that I'd like to point out is that I'm pretty sure I was the only white guy inside of that store at the time. It didn't really have anything to do with all of this. You know, it's just, you know, that's just something that kind of stood out to me. But I was sitting there watching these guys on this basketball team, and just seeing that like how like rough and aggressive that they're all being towards each other in that line. And I mean, it's something that really stands out towards me, because it's you know, you don't see that as much up where I live, you know. You know, the people that I know are more like the Bill Cosby, and these guys are like straight out of Compton. You know, it's 2 different worlds, 2 totally different worlds. But as I pointed out, if you look at the city, if you see the shape that it's in, then you know, it starts to make sense why they all acted the way they did. I mean, you got to be strong down here. I probably wouldn't last a week in that place. I probably wouldn't. We're out here in no man's land. You know, this is like the hills have eyes territory. You know, we see a bunch of random buildings. You know, I don't feel as scared down in Memphis as I did up in Detroit. But it's still definitely not a fun place to go deliver to. You know, I've had to drop off there like a number of times, and you know, it's not really fun. Eventually they did open up like a second cashier, just for those of us who weren't part of the group. So I was able to get my mail and get back to the truck. The other fun one was, I think it was the Loves in that same area. It was really funny watching the local drug dealer help the truckers back into parking spaces. Oh, so slow. I want to keep an eye on my T. I got kind of a rough looking trailer back there. I want to make sure the thing runs the whole time. Anyways, number 2 would have to be Memphis. Number 3, we'll say number 3 is San Francisco. San Francisco. Now, there's no truck stops in San Francisco. Okay, you have to pretty much come in from like I-5 or you would start your day at the 49er back in Sacramento. But let's see, for that one there, I had a receiver just on the other side of the Bay Bridge there. Went into San Francisco. This one kind of sucked because you had to back from the street, and you had to do a blind back. And the thing that made it a little bit harder was that there was a number of cars parked in the street there, opposite of the docks. And those cars were homeless people, because we all know that California has a whole bunch of homeless. Let's make the engine stop screaming. Once I finally got in there, I went and took my paperwork to the door. Now, the dead giveaway that this was probably not the best of neighborhoods was that the receiving door had 5 locks on it, and there was 2 cameras watching it. 5 locks and 2 cameras. Once you get through that door, you're in a little cage. I was like, wow, yeah, this place is wonderful, isn't it? When you see signs like that, you're like, okay, yep, this is gonna be a fun night. But I went back to my truck. I was sitting there being unloaded, and for the most part, I was just kind of lost in my own thoughts. But then I started to take notice of an RV that was parked on the street. And the thing that I noticed was that people on motorcycles, different people constantly, they would come up on the motorcycle, park at the at the RV, go in for a couple minutes, come back out, take off. Again, I'm not stupid. I figured out what that was. The RV was holding drugs. The people on bikes were couriers. They would make a deal, they would get, and then they would stop by the RV, get what they need, go take off and make the deal. You know what the best part about that was? There was a police way station right next door, right next to me. I kept seeing cop cars go into it all night long. I was like, man, that is some bold ass moves right there. Yeah, there's probably like a couple different areas down in that San Francisco area. There was one I went to. I can't remember. I think it might have been closer to Oakland. I can't remember exactly. I had to park in the street. I was sitting there waiting for a while, and I noticed two things were going on. One, there was an abandoned warehouse that I was parked next to. And there was like a bunch of RVs and stuff there. There was trailers for like full of this AV equipment. And for a while there, I thought that maybe they were filming for like a TV show or something like that. And then later on, this gal came out. She was holding a guitar, and looked like they had like a bunch of dancers and leotards. So I guess it was some music artists. They were using the warehouse. I don't know who it was. I took pictures of her, but I mean, it's something. It didn't look like anyone that I knew. But the fascinating thing is that here on this side, you had all these people in the fancy little RVs and stuff like that. People in the music industry who all make like a bunch of money and stuff like that. And they're all doing this. And then over here on my left, the city brought in some garbage trucks, and they were wiping out Hobotown that had taken over a street. I mean, literally just grabbing homeless people's tent homes, couches, anything like that, and just throwing it into a garbage truck. Those and the tent people were trying to grab what they can, put it into shopping carts and stuff. They were going to scatter to the four winds and go find some other place to set up. Kind of like a contrast of lifestyles. I'm sitting back watching all of that. The other problem that I have with going to San Francisco is it's free to go into the city, but coming back out, you've taken a toll road or something somewhere. Like the Bay Bridge is like $25 for a truck driver. You gotta remember to bring cash with you when going in there. Number 4 would have to be New Jersey. And if I have to specify any place in general, I would have to say Newark. Now, a lot of people complain about New York City and talk about the small roads there. But in all honesty, I think Jersey has the tiny roads and crappy off ramps more than New York City does. I mean, I'm pretty sure they got them beat. I hate going down there. I really do. I had this one. I mean, Yet, first of all, it's really fun trying to get to a particular spot because there's so many like turns and splits from splits and stuff like that. You know, there are sections where Jill can't even keep up with the in instructions. And after a while, you know, she's just all kind of like, stay left, right, left, right. You know, you're sitting there trying to pass it through this area doing 55 and catch all of those. But there was this one spot that I went to. What I had to do was go up one off ramp, swing back around to another one, and you know, the ramps are really small with tight corners, so it's really hard not to go up that ramp and not have your trailer track over the line. Well, the problem that I had was at the second ramp they were doing road work on it, so they had pinned up the Jersey barrier right along the line. So my trailer couldn't track anymore, and I actually momentarily got the trailer stuck in this work zone because, you know, the tires were up against those barriers, and what I had to do was apply a whole lot more gas and just literally pull that thing through there. You know, there were no alternate routes that I could take. This was the only way to this warehouse. And the warehouse itself was not built for trucks of my size. There's a lot of warehouses back east that were never made for a 70-foot vehicle. And in this particular one, what you had to do was go through the employee parking, go behind it, and you had I think there was 2 bays back there, and you had to use this little tiny extra area just past the bays for to do your lineup. You know, and I mean, it's possible, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of extra work. You got to really know what you're doing when you're going out to places like that. You know, you got to bring your backing A game. But yeah, I really don't like going anywhere in Jersey. Let's see, that would be like number 4. I think for number 5, really any of the major cities in Texas. Not a big fan of them. Laredo, I don't mind. That one is actually pretty easy to work with. But I don't like going to Houston. I don't like going to Dallas, Fort Worth. Especially when it comes to stopping at the truck stops. The inner city ones are not really an ideal place to stop at. I mean, usually as soon as you do stop, within like 5 minutes, you got somebody at your door trying to beg for money, and they just don't leave you alone. You know, I remember one time at the Flying J, I was sitting there at the pump, and I'm watching like a drug deal go down at the pump next to me. I'm like, wow, okay, I guess we're all just open about that. There's a reason why every single one of those places has a security guard at them. But the guard is there to watch the store. He's not there to watch you. So once you exit your vehicle and you're going to the store, you might want to swivel your head a little bit. Watch people who are walking up on you. Plus the fact that a lot of the, you know, those major cities are usually horrible with the amount of traffic that they have in them. Just really sucks going to. What was that? Number 4? Number 5? I think that was 5. Number 6 would be Miami. I've been to Miami twice. That's another place that I don't really want to go back to. Has nothing to do with crime or anything like that. It's just their freeways don't move. They just don't move. You don't go anywhere. You know, and the problem that I had with that one time was that I got down to a warehouse. This was another one of those warehouses where you don't have a lot of room, and it was set up in such a way that what they would do, what the warehouse guy would do is call in like 10 trucks. You know, there was like 10 spaces, but you had to go in a certain order because the guy on the end had to park first, and then, you know, next one. And if you don't do it that way, then people won't fit in there. And yeah, I got down to that warehouse. He finally got me unloaded. You know, just trying to turn in the paperwork was kind of chaos, right? I mean, it's like there must have been like 40 truckers there who were all just handing him paperwork at once, and they just kind of pick random truckers. You know, I've never understood a place that would bring in like 40 truckers, but you only got 10 spots to park, right? But in any case, eventually I got in there, I got unloaded, and they finished up with me. I had 40 minutes left. 40 minutes. And there was a pilot 8 miles away from me. Well, you do the math in your head and you're like, well, you know, 8 miles is basically like 8 minutes. You know, maybe 15 at most if you have like a little bit of backup. So I should be able to get there before the 40 minutes is over, right? That's where the problem happened. I got onto this one freeway. I was 2 miles away from that pilot, and I sat in the same spot for pretty much the entire 40 minutes. It just didn't move. And then I learned one of those awful truths about Miami. There's not much in the way of truck parking down there. There's only like 3 pilots, something like that, but they're all privately owned. And the thing that I found out is that like all of the local companies just kind of use those pilots as their own personal parking. Gonna make it? Well, you gonna drop back? All right. tried though. Anyways, so the pilot that I got to, the lot was actually like a fenced-in, secured lot, and you're supposed to go in and pay first before they let you in. And I went in to go pay, and they said, no, you can't do that, the lot's full. I'm like, it's fucking 10 o'clock in the morning. What do you mean the lot's full? How can the lot be full at this time of the morning? Well, the fact is that the local companies come in and just rent the whole damn thing out. So there's no room for us. Now, when I had gone to that pilot, I was already in violation of over hours. I had already violated. So I figured at this point, since I've already violated, that I might as well violate some more. So I had to go to this truck stop that was on the outside of the city, which I think put me 20 minutes more over in violation. And it was another pay lot, but I mean, the cool thing about that place was that they had a open bar, and they served some pretty decent Cuban food. I mean, I kind of wished that I could have enjoyed it like a little bit more, but I mean, the simple fact is that by the time I parked, I was seeing red. I was just so pissed off. I was beyond angry. So, I mean, unfortunately, I was in a really bad mood that day. So yeah, I don't really enjoy going down to Miami. It's, you know, it's not really made for truckers. Well, I should say it's not truck friendly. Oh, I had another place in mind for a second there. See, that was what, 6, I think. 7 would have to be Seattle. I don't like going up there. Part of the reason is because it's constantly raining, gloomy, and what really sucks about that is that a lot of times, a lot of my loads are like 3 o'clock in the morning up there, and when I come in from 95, I have to take this US highway that kind of loops around the outskirts of Seattle, and I really hate going down that road at night because you know, it's dark outside. It's, you know, the freeway itself is one of those black flat tops. The lines are almost gone. It's raining. You can't see jack shit. And you got all this traffic that's coming at me, and like every person has their damn brights on because they can't see either. So you're just completely blinded. You are totally blinded. A couple of the problems that I have up there though is traffic is weird. Traffic is really weird in that area. You know, that they don't particularly have a lot of traffic like some of the other places, you know, like the cities in Texas or something where you have like just hordes of cars, or here in California. The traffic is actually pretty loose, but for whatever reason everybody still drives like 15 miles per hour under the speed limit, and I don't understand why they do that. And what makes it even weirder is that occasionally they all just randomly stop. It was like one of the weirdest things that you ever see. You know, you just drive along, come around this corner, and there's like there's a sudden stop traffic, and you're like, what the hell? You know, you're all slamming on the brakes, smoking everything, and literally like 10 seconds later, everyone's just going that normal slow speed again. And you're just sitting there like, what the hell just happened? You see nothing around you that would cause that, but it happens. And 2 seconds later, it's back to normal, like nothing ever happened that day. It's so weird. Now, one of the things that made me really hate Seattle, is that they don't build their roadways like normal people. Okay, there was this warehouse that I was trying to get to down there, and I was doing good. I was still like a half hour ahead of schedule, and I was coming up, and I was finally on the street where Jill said the stop was at, and I was trying to find the name of this place, and I didn't see any signs on any buildings or anything, which is one of the things that sucked, was that there was no sign for this company that I was going to, and there was no addresses on the warehouses. So I turned around, I turned on this corner, parked for a second, checked the map, realized that the warehouse was on the opposite side of the street from where Jill said. She was pointing over in this direction, the warehouse was on that side. Alright, no big deal, right? You just do a couple of right turns, go around the block, and you end up kind of back where you started. No, Seattle isn't built that way. I ended up going through this zigzag of territories, and actually ended up like pretty much in downtown. And I'm sitting there, I'm pressing the reroute like over and over and over again. You know, and it was taking Jill forever to bring up like the next set of instructions. So a lot of times I would miss a turn that I would need and have to reroute again. And you know, I mean, after like 30 minutes of that, man, I was screaming bloody murder. Again, you know, that was kind of like the second time where I was like so angry I was seeing red. And they, you know, when I did catch an instruction on going around the corner, and the street's not like a throughway like she's saying it was, so I would have to reroute again, and just I mean, it took me like an hour and a half to get back to where I was going, and I think I did like an extra 30 miles in that time. I was so pissed off that day, so angry. If you have a warehouse and you want truck drivers to deliver it, I would highly suggest putting a sign on that building. That really helps us out. Likely, I haven't had to deal with spots like that too often. When I do go up there, it's usually to like a Whole Foods or something like that. And the only thing that they do is just kind of make you sit around and wait forever. So I think that was a 7. What would be a 8? What would be a good 8? I think maybe heading into the LA portion of LA, like the actual downtown LA. Most of the other areas around LA, I have absolutely zero issue with. I love going to them. I like going to Compton. I like going to Wilmington, Long Beach, Vernon, Industry City, Ontario. You know, you go to all these places. Most of them are really cool. But when you go into the actual downtown, like a lot of the warehouses down there, again, are not exactly built for 70-foot trucks, and it's really hard, you know, a lot of times to have to back in from the street, and you don't have a whole lot of space because there's like vehicles on, you know, parked on both sides, and you know, it just makes your job that much harder, you know. But I mean, really, that's really only about it. Is, you know, some of the warehouses down there are just really crappy to back into. It's just, you know, it's just not a lot of room to play with. We got one for number 9. I don't know if I do have a number 9 or a number 10. I guess I could say for number 9. Might be down in Florida again. What's that town? The thing about Florida is that, like, each city it's almost like a different part of a neighborhood, right? So Miami is like Little Cuba. Orlando has a lot of tourists and retired people. The Panhandle is like being in Kentucky or something, you know. Everyone's like a bunch of rednecks. I can't think of the city that's on the east, but I mean on the west side, opposite of Orlando. I think it's like Tallahassee or something. No, I think that's north. Anyways, you got a town that's on the western coast of Florida. That's kind of like the trailer trash district. You know, if each city it's kind of like a different kind of neighborhood. That's the trailer park. Usually you end up seeing a lot of locals who are clearly strung out on drugs, you know, like heroin and stuff like that. I mean, it's so obvious to see. It just sucks, you know, kind of going to a couple of areas around there too, because again, you know, it's kind of a trashy area. Not piles of garbage like Memphis is, but still just trashy, constantly trashy. At least you don't have to worry about like a lot of small roads or anything like that. So that's probably number 9. I always like this view because you got the Rockies in the background, and then you got this foreground group of mountains. So as you move along, you know, the foreground mountains are moving one way and the Rockies are moving the other. It just looks so cool. Such a scenic view. I don't think I could think of a number 10 that off the top of my head at this point. I tried to come up with like 10 places. But there's really not much else I can think of that's in between any of the points that I don't really like going to, you know. But yeah, you know, that's the thing about trucking is that, yeah, you do get to see a lot of like really cool places at times, but unfortunately this is still a job, and in my case, because I haul reefer, which is food, I generally have to deliver to places that are not so nice, because let's face it, I mean that's where the warehouses are. That's where all the warehouse jobs are at, or in those neighborhoods. I'm not going to LA, you know, to take 30,000 pounds of beef to Bill Murray's house. You know, I'm going to be taking it to a warehouse in like Compton. I'm not going to go to Hollywood for any reason. Look at this guy tracks on his pickup. Yes, snow truck. That's what the tracks are for. Film History Museum. If I had the time, I'd probably stop at that. But like I said, my schedule's kind of tight. I did that on purpose because I wanted to get my 34 so that I would have the correct hours to be able to do what I wanted to do. So yeah, I can't think of a number 10. So we will probably call it good on that. Top nine places that I don't like going to. There probably a few, you know, there's probably a few more. Yeah, the truck drivers out there probably have like a whole list of areas. But that's mine. And I will leave you with that and talk to you later.